Alright, we're back. So I had to go get some tools for the intake manifold. So you need a little short extension. You need a deep well socket. Because we're using aircraft clamps to go in here, and they close it to go like that. So, could have those. Simple. Okay, now these clamps can go on two ways. Sometimes they can go on this way, as long as they don't hit right here up on the motor. Which means this, see how this one clears? That means it'll work. It just barely rubs against it, so it kind of would work. Because when these close up, they get real close together. See? So this how it works on this one too. See? So you gotta make sure they'll clear. Okay, on these early heads, looks like they clear. Late heads, most of them don't. Okay, the next thing is, or I don't know what carburetor he's going to have on this for clearance. Can I put the clamp on like this? It looks real nice and pretty, and it might clear the carburetor, or is it going to go in this other direction like this? And you have one up here and have the other one to be angled downhill like this, so you can get to it from the left side. Doesn't look as good because you can see it. I'd rather look at this kind of a clamp here instead of a screw sticking out. So I know what kind of carburetor he's going to use, so if I go grab a carburetor I can tell if it'll fit or not. So I'm going to go do that because I forgot to bring one. We'll be back. Alright, we're back. So we have to go get the carburetor he's going to use. Be called a stock linker. Not a toilet sim. Those are later. So we're talking to him earlier, didn't know if it had 3/8 bolt holes in the manifold. Yes, it does. Look how big those holes are. There's a 3/8 bolt. See? So that's why this one's been hogged out to fit. Oh, it slides easy now too. So work on this down here a little bit. But this manifold does not fit this carburetor. See, the bolt won't go in here. See the angle?
Yeah.
See, that means you got to slot the piss out of this manifold to put this carburetor on here.
Oh yeah.
Unless this carburetor screwed up. Appears to be stock, so I don't think it's screwed up. This has been butchered by opening up from what it was, but the bolt pattern is different. So that means they didn't do a very good job. Looks like they did it with a dull reamer, a dull file. See how the threads are hitting right in here a little bit? Stock. So I'm thinking they didn't do a very good job of making this manifold. I did a lot of work on that manifold to be a piece of crap. Now, should I make this fit his bike before I put it on the motor or after?
I would just cut a slot in one of those holes and be done with it.
Ooh, look, I got it to where it would kind of go in. There, I got it to go. It's a little snug though. Yeah, it's not exactly fitting correctly.
Maybe I think it'll leak.
You think it'll leak? I like how the manifold perfectly matches the inside of the bore, so there would be no flow restriction at all in there. See all the rust around there?
No, that doesn't make you go faster?
It does, yeah. So is the manifold bad, or is the intake manifold, or the carburetor smaller?
The carb is smaller.
I don't know, looks like a big one to me.
It's what, like a 36? And then the manifold
DC
is
number up.
probably like a 38.
There should be a DC number on this thing someplace. Yeah, there's way down here. It's a DC7. I think that's the big one. Doesn't match the manifold very well though, does it?
I thought that was a common thing. The Harley manifolds were too big for their
Looks like it might be out of
carburetors.
adjustment over here too, because see how it goes past full throttle? It hasn't even hit the stop yet. It usually works best if you adjust these where they work correctly. Looks like it's got some kind of a spring they put on here. They're trying to make an external throttle out of this by putting a stupid spring in here, which is not stock. My guess is this lever has probably been done something. There we go, I got it where it goes. Yeah, the spring is screwing it all up in there. So we're against a stop. Let's see, it's way past full throttle, so this bike would go slower as you gave it full throttle. It run best at about 7/8 throttle. That last little bit makes it go slower. I wonder if they were planning it to be that way. Could have been. Alright, so I'm going to go see if I can find me something better. I think this manifold's been cut way out. Looks like I did a lot of work for a piece of crap manifold. Let's see. It's only 1 5/8, so that's not too bad. Seems about stock size. About a little over 1.5 inches is what this is. I bet you they made it that way.
Looks like you're just gonna have to cut the carburetor out.
Actually, it doesn't matter because I'm a dumbass. The air goes in, not out. So it doesn't matter. It flows this way.
Oh, so if anything, it's getting more ram coming through the carburetor.
But those threads right there that I can see right there need to be cut so that it'll fit correctly. So I'm going to have to butcher this manifold a little bit. Do you have a butchering tool?
No.
You don't have no butchering tool? What kind of butchering tool are we going to use?
I think you can use any tool to butcher something. Yeah, that'll work. You could even just hit it with a screwdriver and butcher it.
What if I go like this a few times like this? Butcher it a little bit. Ooh, this one goes all the way through. Look at that. Oh, I can really hog this one out. But we need something to hold the vise better in my hand. What's over there, Scooby? What? What are you looking at?
You got a vise right there.
Yeah, I know. It's a very nice China vise, too.
Nice red paint.
But I'm thinking I'm going to go over and use this American vise over here. Where's this one made? Columbia, Cleveland, Ohio. That's one of them Eastern vices. That's like being in Eastern Europe almost, but not quite. Okay, we're going to take this over. This is a nice smooth vise. It doesn't screw up stuff and torque it. I'm going to take this little smooth file right here and go. And we're going to clean up that bad hole. Those ugly thread marks are not there no more. Then we're going to come over here and do it to the other side here just for the hell of it, because this side looks pretty nasty too. Oh, those are gone now too. Jeez. Those thread marks are no longer in there. Do you think it'll fit now?
Perhaps.
Perhaps it might.
There's a chance, but I think you'll have to do it again.
I'll have to do it again?
You always have to do it again.
You don't think I did enough of my fancy tool then?
No.
Let's find out. Will it work or will it not? That's the question.
Everything has happened like 2 or 3 times.
Now remember,
on
this has
bike.
like a 1/2 inch hole in here now too. So
Yeah, so that's not going to vibrate.
somebody got a little rambunctious on drilling. Let's go look up that word.
I don't think that word is anywhere in the Harley manual, so...
That wasn't in the Harley book? Are you sure about that?
They say if you're getting a little rambunctious while you drill, you might mess up your manifold.
Yeah, they might have that issue.
Get rambunctious while you ride.
Okay, well now, we have hear the in play? Barely have some in play. Barely is good, that means it is correct. Now if you're stupid around that bolt all the way down until you hit that screw right there, you might break something. So don't do that. Get the correct bolt. Alright, so that now mounts pretty nicely. Now we can see if we have any clearance issues up here, up on top of the motor. So we lay this in there like that. So obviously there's no clamp issues on this side. Now over here, we might have some issues. puts a cable over here and there's a little bracket that comes across that holds it.
Probably gonna have to do one each way.
So that one might be a little on the close side. So, see this one, you have lots of room over here. This one over here, the throttle lever goes up over here like this. So, might be careful. So, you got to hold the camera. I only got 2 hands here. I do not have a third hand to use for checking things. So, if you go like that, see how close that clamp gets there?
Too close.
So if I put it way over here, I think we'll be okay. If we get way down here, you're getting a little close. So I think as long as we put it up high in the air, we'll be fine. Now as I tighten this down, it's going to stick out even further. See how it goes further?
Oh, yeah.
I think we're still okay. And that looks a lot better than being on the other side, I think. If we got an air cleaner on the bike, it kind of hides this whole area. And unless he's got something over here like a horn, which I don't think they used them this year. It's wide open over here, except for the motor mount across the top. So I don't remember if you can see or not. Okay, so I'm going to use the, I'm going to put the clamps on this side where it looks a little better, I think. Maybe. We'll check it out and find out.
It's a shame he's going with that
This is like a
carburetor.
brand new carburetor. Look at this. It's barely got any miles on it.
It is stock.
It's, yeah. Does anybody believe that?
It's got.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's got lots of patina on it.
It's got no miles, but a lot of patina.
It's got a lot of patina.
That means they took it right off and threw it in the junk.
That means they pulled it out of the lake it was thrown in.
They never ever even used it. They just rode the bike home and took it off.
There you go. That sure sounds like a sweet sales pitch to me. Okay, so we take a little bit of assembly lube and we pre-lubricate these threaded areas. That's very important, especially these little small ones that like to strip out. You can actually torque these a lot more if you have oil on the threads.
You don't get hydro lock.
There's no hydro lock going on though. But we have a lot of hydro non-stripping going on.
Oh.
Especially if somebody torques them like me.
Is that a technical term?
Could be. Yeah, this one has to be opened.
Yeah.
Now we don't need this big long one. We can live with a short one. This one we can tighten up a little bit. You can go down until it gets a little snug on the head a little bit. Just enough so it stays. Don't forget your intake seal. It will not run very good without having that in there. Okay, we're going to put that up pretty high, but high enough that we can get this in here still. It's going to pull on deeper, so I'm going to put it about right there. This one I'll put down a little bit lower so it looks a little better. So, now this one has 2 bad spots. We're going to put that up. This rubber here, what you do to, instead of just laying here like that, try to jam it in there, you roll it up on top of the manifold like this.
I do that too.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
I didn't think that was the right way though.
See, now you can hold it with one finger too, like that.
But if it's Tatro approved.
You stick it in there, layer in there, and then if you breathe on it hard, it'll flop over in there. Except on this one, flipped out. There you go. Now you want to wiggle around a little bit. As you wiggle around a little bit, the O-ring will untwist and center itself up. Then you take your clamp and put it in there.
Wow, that went real easy.
That's because it's not a panhead with all the crap in the way.
It'll take you like 30 minutes.
See, this motor is actually designed to have an intake clamp on it, unlike the panhead
Yeah.
and knuckleheads, which are not designed to have anything in their way of
They're
clamps.
designed to have the plumber, right?
Yes. And then somebody decided, oh, let's change it. And they didn't really change the design of the motor and they would make room for it.
No.
They did open the fins up slightly bigger than the earlier heads, but not by much.
Oh.
That's why they use those cheap ass clamps that they sell you.
I have the conversion kit in the early heads.
They have those really ugly ass clamps that barely do anything. That's stock.
Oh man.
Because it's the only thing you can wrap around. Okay, now we just pull these in a little bit. Get a little bit of tension on them. You can take your adjustment tool and adjust it. I don't know if you saw it, but this one slid in about a 1/16 of an inch. And you need a strategy to check your height. Strategy resembles something like this. That'd be something that's called straight. So unless you ride sideways on your bike somewhere, you kind of want your carburetor to be vertical with the motor. I mean straight up and down. So you have to match this up and make sure it sits straight. Usually I set off the rocker box side here, so you can tell if it's going this way or that way. So if we get over like that, you might be able to see. See, it's like that or like that. You can change it. So right now this one looks like it's maybe too far this way, right? So we got to tap it down a little bit. You go like that. Does that look straighter?
What I do is I use my knee. I sit on the bike and put my knee there.
And you put the carburetor where it clears your knee. We don't care about anything else.
Yep.
That could work. See me, I want to see what the carburetor looks like here. That looks pretty vertical. Could go down just a skosh maybe. Further. A little bit more. Okay, after you get it roughed in a little bit, tighten the nuts again. Don't get too carried away. You'll strip these things out really quick. We'll just come back and give it a little tap just to make sure it's where you want it. That one's getting tight.
So there's no O-ring on that
Now you
manifold.
double check your vertical again to make sure it looks pretty straight. Looks pretty straight to me. So there you go. Does it look pretty straight to you? If you're not sure, then guess.
It probably is.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but close helps. Okay, now we're going to see if we can break these nuts by over torquing them. And that's about as much you can go on that one. I can feel everything just pulling. Okay, now if you do actually strip the nut, put another nut on top of that nut and tighten it again to give you some new threads.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's already stripped, so it'll retorque. It'll just shove it down further. That's one of the tricks I do. Preferably you get the ones that have the quarter-inch bolts. They're a lot stronger. You can torque the piss out of those. So, where's my carburetor at? Okay, now we take our carburetor.
Tin can, pretty much.
And we lay it up in here and pretend we know what we're doing. Wouldn't that in my short bolt? Okay.
It's got to be one of the ugliest carbs I've ever seen.
I don't know. I get toilets and it looks worse.
Yeah, but those can run upside down because of the diaphragm.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
Harley cared.
Harley cared. You can also look at the carburetor and see if it looks like it's downhill. It looks like the carburetor's running downhill.
Doesn't that clear your knee a little bit better?
Yeah, it looks like it's slightly downhill, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks like it's off slightly. I can adjust that.
I think it's maybe because it wasn't screwed in all the way.
Maybe the flange is bent. Who knows? All right, so this side here we got no clearance issues, nothing over here. This side over here we got to be careful about this hitting. So you can see how we got pretty good pull in here. We got a decent amount of clearance. Now if you need more clearance than this, you can loosen this up and rotate up a little bit higher. I'll let him decide that. It looks better when it's more like this, but it's all about getting the bracket on here and putting the cable in there and see what your clearance are. Like I said, this gets in the way, move it. You can also shorten this up a little bit. It didn't need to be that long on this side. So there's a modification you can do. Overall, it looks pretty good that way. It does look like it's a little bit on the low side though from my angle looking at it from this way. Looks like it needs to be more about right there. Okay. So we'll make a fine adjustment on that. Yeah, you do fine adjustments?
Just smack it.
Just take it and go boom, boom, boom like down the bottom. I'm sure it won't do any damage to anything.
I mean, the holes in that manifold are already so big. You can't really hurt those.
Yeah. So just give it a little adjustment right here.
Oh, I saw it move that time.
Yep, I felt it move. Because I was holding it down, I didn't want to be down there when I put it. It was fighting me a little bit. Does it look better now? It already looks better. Yeah, it looks much better. There you go. Precision. So you got to have your adjustment tool, very important tool. All right. Think how much clearance you're going to have when you put this big piece of crap in here.
Oh yeah, so much.
Yeah, there's a mounting bracket here. I don't know how it clears a mag, but it don't clear it by much, that's for sure. All right, well there you go. That's what a stock Sportster looks like with a stock carburetor on it. His carburetor is supposed to be a little better condition than this one, but I don't know if it's the correct one or not. Then you put your finger in there and you finger screw the port and see if you like it. Now, unlike an EVA or a twin cam or an M8, this has a mechanical alignment device to line the manifold with the head. It's called a clamp. It's metal on metal, not rubber. So when you line them up, the ports line up pretty damn close. Look at that intake valve way up in there. Now, some people wonder why Sportsters run so bad. It's obviously because the ports are not very lined up. See, you can hardly even see in there at all. See? So there you go. That's why it's hard to beat a Sportster. They actually have good flow in ports, and they're big. That's actually bigger than an Evo. Well, it's the same size as an Evo port on the inside. Twin cam's a little bit smaller. And it has bigger valves in both of those bikes. Scooby, where you going?
He's busy making a second
So,
log.
there you go. We got a carburetor on there. Well, a manifold anyway, and a set of heads. So the next thing I'm going to do is do some push rods, but I think we'll save that for later. So that'll be the next thing to do. There you go.